Welcome back to another episode of Tevora Talks. I am your host, Cash, joined as always by my co-host and partner in cybercrime, Matt Mosley. Matt, how you doing? Happy Thursday. What a crazy week it's been.
Definitely crazy couple weeks, slammed left and right.
Left and right. Couple weeks. I mean, really since the new year, right? Started with a solar wind and now exchange and just
Microsoft, yep.
keeping us on our toes for the past couple weeks. And we're going to bring you guys some really good highlights, new updates, what we've been working on, what is working, what isn't working. But before we do, Matt, I want to give a quick shout out to Q. Q, if you're out there, if you're listening, Q hit us up last podcast. I gave a little note at the end. Whoever was listening got a little cool gift set from me, yours truly. Q, your gift set is on the way. Thank you to the rest of our listeners. Stay tuned. At the end of the show, I may do another shout out, a little giveaway. You never know. But with that said, let's kind of dive into it. Matt, set us up. What's happening in the Microsoft Exchange world?
Yeah, definitely. So we are finding that patching is not enough. So we had a couple clients, patch their Exchange servers,
Yep.
and then we deployed EDR to those servers, and then we saw activity after the fact. After the patch, we started seeing probes to try and discover other systems that were nearby, right? So the attacker was trying to pivot.
Yep.
So apparently, even after the patch was applied, if the server had already been exploited, you could still get back in. So that's just a shout out to people. Really, just kind of a warning. Like, you really need to clean up your servers. At the very least, we recommend, not at the very least, but we would recommend just burning it down and rebuilding.
Yeah, really, if you can, I guess,
Yep.
right?
Patch, rotate passwords. FCC is now recommending people do geo blocking, which we always recommend that. But yeah,
It's gotten there. Okay.
yeah. So they do have a couple
To what regions? What are they trying to
guidelines.
keep it within? Yeah. What's the guidelines there?
All right. So countries to block in the immediate block zone are China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, and Brazil.
Oh, the
Now the
Fab
problem
Five.
is, what's that?
I said the Fab Five.
Yeah, exactly. The problem is if you do business in those countries, you can't exactly block those geolocations, right?
Yeah,
But
definitely.
there's ways around that, and we'll leave it on you to figure it out. It's not that hard, but limit IPs and all that good stuff. Anyways, the expanded recommended blocks is another 20 different countries, and there you've got Afghanistan, Algeria, Cuba, Egypt, Iraq, and I could go on. And then lastly, some of the residual blocks, they're calling it, which is number 3. You got Hong Kong, Latvia, Vietnam, Romania, Bulgaria, Estonia, Republic of Moldova, and more to follow, they say. So I don't know what that means, but
Oh gosh.
um, I mean, essentially, and I've done this. I mean, just me doing some freelance work for my mortgage lender, 9 years ago. His website got hacked, and we set up his website so that only people in the United States can access his website.
Okay, that's
And
good.
I'm not saying that that's the end all be all silver bullet, right? Because and I know we just do VPNs and we can jump around the world. But it is just one more level of security, and security is an onion, right? We've got different layers. So I highly recommend, anytime you can limit that stuff, to just go ahead and limit geolocation.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, for multiple reasons. I mean, I've even seen it on certain websites I've managed in the past too. I'm sure you have. Like if you go on Google Analytics on your page and it's not really set up the right way, you're gonna have so many skewed IPs, results, everything coming from all over the place that it shouldn't be. On top of that, to your point, you know, um, nefarious ones as well, right? So
right. And I mean, we've done, payment card breaches where the company was here in the US with, branches around the country, but they didn't do business outside the country. And yet they had terabytes of data going to Dubai. It's like, that should have been your first indicator right there.
there should
But
be a flag somewhere.
and so immediately we cut off that access, and and started really locking down, tightening up the firewall. But I think people need to, and I've said this before on our podcast, you need to be more aggressive in your security controls. You know, this whole uh the old way doesn't work anymore, right? Like everyone's evolved. As pen
Everyone.
testers and hackers, we all figured out ways to bypass this stuff. But yeah, just be a little bit more, run a tighter ship. That's what I'm saying. Get your S together.
Get it together, people. I mean, at the very minimum, let's kind of talk about some things that I've been seeing, right? Some patterns of good things clients have been doing, things maybe they could have done better overall to help with investigations, right?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
I feel like, right, me and you say it all the time, not just in this investigation, but in the years, right, to clients backups of in general, but more specifically logs. Oh my god, I can't stress how important that is, right?
Exactly.
Logs.
Yeah.
It's and I'm seeing that right now. A couple clients, of course, log retention. People don't really generally think about it. So, to you, I get it. Until it happens, then you start thinking. But yeah, I have logs that go back 2 days, and I have a web shell that was 4 days ago. Well, I can't really see what happened after the fact, right? I can't see what PowerShells were run. I can't see if any movement was going, any applications were dropped. No, I have nothing. I have no visibility. So it's really
Yeah.
kind of hard when you don't have that to go find a needle in a haystack on a system, right? So
Yeah. I mean, sometimes we can rebuild those, we can track those steps or trace the attacker's footprints, but it
yeah,
just makes it way harder.
of
And
course.
sometimes we don't, we can't trace those those footsteps,
Totally.
And as a PFI, handling the PCI forensic investigations for breaches and stuff like that, we'll get called into a case that, the breach happened 6 months, even a year prior, and this person's the this merchant's the common point of purchase, and now we got to go back and try and figure out what happened 6 months ago or a year ago.
Yeah.
And I don't know of one case that I've been on where they
The
were
logs
able to
go back
provide accurate logs for.
that far. Yeah, totally. And a couple things to build on that. How do we do it, right? What would you recommend? So things I've been recommending. Number one, get at the minimum that PowerShell history module. Make sure that's enabled. Save your stuff locally. At least you can save command lines, right, in case local logs are deleted. Ideally, Seam, right? Send it somewhere, a log collector.
Yep. Offsite log preservation
Yeah.
in
And
case
back
something
those
gets
logs
happen.
up to somewhere if possible, put them in these like long-term memory storages that are a little cheaper, right? So,
Yeah. I mean, PCI requirements, and I'm not saying everybody needs to adhere to these, but I think they're a good guideline for the most part. They say, have logs readily available for, 90 days, and then for immediate analysis,
okay,
and then retained for up to a year.
that's fair.
Right. I think that's a good
That's a great base.
baseline.
Yep, I think that's a great baseline.
So,
And to kind of build on logs and backups, another thing, to your point of, hey, the best thing to do for Exchange right now really is to rebuild, right? If you can.
yeah, rebuild if possible, and obviously rotate passwords. Enable two-factor authentication for web stuff, for the Outlook web access and all that stuff. Obviously, in this case, this was an unauthenticated 0 day, so you didn't need to really um, gain access through credentials, but it doesn't hurt to add
Yeah,
that
of
extra
course.
layer. And then also when you're going through and investigating it, right? The CISA has released IOCs, Microsoft has released, and I believe a few others. Definitely go through those lists. Don't limit your search to just those IPs and directories and stuff like that. We're finding other IPs that have been used to manipulate or take advantage of these exchange vulnerabilities, and also finding files in other directories. So, look for recent ASPX files,
Yeah.
JS files, JavaScript files, and then go through and even scrutinize the ones that look familiar. Look at the timestamps, but also don't rule out the fact that timestamps can be manipulated. So yeah, In my opinion, just burn it down and patch it up.
Burn it down and patch it up. But before you do, this is what I was thinking about: is before you burn it down and patch it up, get a snapshot of that machine somehow if you can, because as we know, Matt, right? Every day new IOCs pop out, especially look from SolarWinds 3 months ago
Exactly.
till today.
Yep.
Like a whole new list of stuff that's like, check this, check that, just in case. So before you completely burn it down, don't destroy the evidence. Keep it somewhere in case you need to go back and look for something. You never know,
Unless you
right?
need to destroy evidence, then just burn it down. That's fine.
Yeah, then just burn it down, but don't call us after that.
We should do uh
Mm.
like nefarious security podcast. Like this is how you do things the wrong way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
No, I'm just kidding.
yeah. If you need to get rid of a body, this
It's
is what
like
you.
that Reddit shitty life pro tips. We should do that.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. I'm open to that.
Shitty security tips.
But to kind of keep going, if you have found the web shell, then what? Right? Then what are we looking at?
Burn
Let's
the whole
say
building
you
down.
did find that ASPX file. What's the next step? What's the strategy beyond rebuilding? What would you do? What does that mean for everybody? That means they were in the box, right? Then what? That's the unknown, I guess.
Yeah. So are you asking me, or are you just hypothetically
I
throwing
don't
this
know,
out
maybe
there in the
both.
ether?
I'm maybe asking myself and yourself. I mean, I've just been saying, we got to just do general threat hunt. Just
So what we've
do
been doing is
it.
containing the box, right? Making sure that we cut off access so that the attacker can't utilize it as a pivot point. Also, cutting off access to any other systems that were not compromised prior to patching, then going in and cleaning up, making sure that they can't get back in,
Yes.
and then also upping the security, right? Putting in those geo blocks, putting an EDR if you don't have it, putting in next gen AV on these next gen antivirus and endpoint detection response um, security agents on there if you can, and then continue to monitor, right? But that's all part of the IR lifecycle, identification, containment, eradication,
Eradication.
recovery.
Yep,
So
totally.
um, nothing new. It's
So
rinse and
nothing
repeat.
new
That
there.
is how you operate.
So pretty much in a nutshell, or should I say in a web shell, get it?
But
In a nutshell, if you do see the IOCs, look for the web shell. If you see the web shell, get rid of it, rebuild, tighten down shop, and learn from our mistakes, right? Backup
not
logs.
our mistakes.
Well, in
Learn
general,
from your mistakes.
your
Throw it
mistakes.
out to them. We're not to blame.
We're
I'm
not
just
to
kidding.
blame. But yeah, so with that, I guess it has been an interesting ride. I feel I see the light at the end of the tunnel for exchange right now. For those, so far it doesn't look like too much crazy stuff has happened aside from the web shell being popped, from what I see. So that's good news.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're gonna still see more coming out, but
Of course, more stuff always unfolds.
there probably just be additional IOCs. I think the whole method for the process for them getting access is probably going to stay the same. We should point out to our listeners that there is a POC readily available to the public. Marcus Hutchins, who we previously covered on here in our hacker history, he actually tweeted not too long ago that he was able to successfully get a POC going based on some code that he had found.
Oh, great.
Yep. So there's probably going to be even more. I think the number right now is around 30,000 have been compromised. Don't know how they got that number, but let's just say with this POC now readily available, there's probably going to be even more. So if you are an admin out there, definitely be scrutinizing your exchange boxes. Now, again, this is just on-prem. If you can
Yeah.
migrate to the cloud, migrate to Exchange Online. Pass the blame to Microsoft.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, why
but
take on the responsibility? Shove it to somebody else.
yeah, but yeah, definitely, just scrutinize your logs, scrutinize the endpoint, and leverage the tools. EDR, Next Gen AV, all those have the IOCs, and then also locking down, geo-locking the firewall, turning off the services if you don't need them. We always say that, right? Like if you don't have
Totally.
people that are logging into the web access, don't enable it. If you have your Exchange admin console online, put it behind a VPN, stuff like that. So that's it. I'm done.
You're done.
I think so.
Well, hopefully
Unless you
we'll.
trigger me.
No, I'll do my best not to trigger you. It's not a Monday. It's almost end of the week. We can be untriggered by the end of the week. But with that, I guess, yeah, let's continue Operation Cleanup,
Operation Cleanup
Operation Cleanup, Operations
on F
Extreme.
yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, we'll bring you guys some more stuff. If you're still listening, you think anybody's still listening?
I hope so.
Should I do another little handout, little hook up the crowd with some cool stuff?
Only if I can pick it out this time.
Okay, deal.
I got a dollar store around the corner. The finest wares that the dollar store provides.
We will hook you
Just
up with
kidding.
a lot of items that will be at least greater than or equal to $1. But
I mean, they
nonetheless,
got like dollar store USB cables, flashlights, hand warmers. I mean, I could hook it up.
you can get a lot of
You give
stuff.
me some money, I'll hook it up.
$100 at a dollar store, you'll get a lot of stuff. Holy smokes! I remember
I
if
think you
were
can
below
get
100,
steaks,
you can get what?
like meat.
No way.
I mean, roll the dice. You could.
That's rough. That may be the last set of like dice you'll ever roll, though, for sure. So okay, so if you guys are still out there, long story short, yeah, let's do another giveaway, Matt.
Let's
Hit
do
us
it.
up. Find a
Tevora
way to
swag.
email us, get a hold of us, myself or Matt. Tell us, hey, I listened to the end. We'll hook you up with some cool stuff from Tevora Talks. And we'll continue to bring you guys some cool news next week. Hacker history to be followed with. And I guess that's all for me. I have nothing else to say for our lovely listeners out there. Matt, any final words?
Yeah, as the cool kids say, like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Like, subscribe, shout out, hit us up. Let us know about your questions. Love to hear from you. With that said, talk to you guys later.
Hasta luego.